Welcome to Om Times TV, a division of Om Times Media and Broadcasting. Be bold, be brave, be extraordinary, be vulnerable, be real, be curious, be true, be you. Welcome to Trusting Your Gut with world-class energy intuitive Catherine McIntosh, a show designed to awaken you to enjoy the process of evolving, have fun along the way, and learn to listen to those silent in-between moments. You are the expert of your own life, and nobody knows more about the next steps to take in your journey than you. So please, listen to your gut and discover what's waiting for you to explore. Here is your host, Catherine McIntosh.
All right, my magical friends. So welcome to today's show. So excited to be here with you and can't believe we're at the end of the first month of the year. Wow. So, it's interesting always looking at what topics that I can talk about on the show that will apply to you in your life. And I do my best to try to also provide tools and resources and little things that you can do in your daily life. I think that we have this idea that if we're looking for change, it has to be this like momentous explosion and like this clear delineation of, okay, now change. And what I've discovered about change is that it's kind of like compounding interest. And so you find things in your daily life that you can do to build up your energy, to raise your vibration, to open up to your intuition, to clear your body of any toxins and really light up your body so you can light up your life. And when we stack these tiny little habits, which don't seem like a big deal, over time, those tiny little habits basically compound into a large possibility where then all of a sudden life starts working. All of a sudden, money starts working. All of a sudden, your intimate relationships start working differently. And yet, there are so many of us now on the planet, and wherever you are in your journey, you've probably experienced this at one time or another. And today, we're going to be talking about your energy levels specifically and what happens when you feel drained and what to do about it. And I'm going to talk about some of the reasons I believe that we're drained. And so usually when we're drained, we go, "Oh, we need sleep." I have been sleeping like it's my job for the last couple days because the last few months of life, of business, of parenting, of, friends, it's been full on. And so this last week I was like, "Oh, body, you are asking for rest. I'm going to give it to you." And no matter how much I sleep, I still am aware that there's this sort of energetic drain happening in my world. And whenever something is going on in my life, I get curious. Right. I kind of feel like a petri dish for those on the planet that are empaths or intuitive or psychic or healers or are aware of energy, like the astrologers and the Akashic record readers and, those dabbling in the world of the unseen. And what happens is at some point or another, we all get drained. We all get drained. And I was looking at it in my world, and for me in particular right now, I'm aware that I am giving a lot of energy to a lot of people. And sometimes it works really well and it fuels me and it gives me more energy. And then there's times where I have to actually change the structure of my business because the exchange isn't quite equal. And so I end up draining my energy. So I'm going to give you a couple examples and I'm going to talk about some other things that may be happening in your world that's draining your energy and what to do about it. So if you're feeling sort of short fused, if you're feeling lethargic, if you feel like you want to eat a ton of food, no matter how much you eat, you still like feel tired, if you are maybe feeling like anxiety or even on the verge of panic attacks, what happens when that happens in our system is usually there's an uneven exchange. And so here's some examples. You might be a massage therapist and you might be charging $150 for your massages, but the quality and value of your work and what you're doing for people and what it's changing in their lives might be the equivalent value of $250. And so you're giving, 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 and the exchange you're getting back isn't equal to the energy you're giving out. So guess what? It depletes your energy. And so, yes, sometimes we don't get enough sleep and we go, 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 and we just need to rest. But sometimes, and I find almost always, there's some sort of disconnect between our physical body and our spirit world. And there's some sort of uneven exchange. And it's our job to get curious as to what that exchange might be and what we can do to sort of equal the playing field so that you're not draining your energy anymore. And know for me, I work with a lot of people all around the world all the time, and I love it. I love it. It brings me to life so much of the time, and am aware that there's a change in my business happening. There's a change in how I'm offering and who I'm offering and what I'm offering, and in that sort of dance of transition of knowing it needs to change and not yet changing it, my energy levels have been letting me know it's time to change. And there's a lot of areas of my life, not just in my work life, but also with friends, with my personal energy, with my business and my relationship with my business that is asking for a change. And so you just might want to take a look at if you're feeling symptoms such as depression or lethargy or weight gain, or you're hungry all the time and no matter what you do you can't seem to get enough food, or you want to sleep a lot. Maybe you're experiencing a lot of grief. Maybe you just feel like your body's disconnected. What usually tends to happen is we go, oh, what's wrong? Let me go to the doctor. Let me get my blood tested. Let me start taking antibiotics. Let me increase the amount of vitamin C that I'm taking. And look, that is all good and it sometimes can help. But if you are taking sort of measures to help your health journey, to increase your energy levels, and it's not quite working, what you may want to take a look at is where in your spirit life are you draining your energy and there's not an equal exchange. And one of the sort of topics and themes that I work with a lot on people, and I look at when they come to me and they say, I've gone to the doctor, I've, done the tests, I've, changed my eating habits, I've, changed my movement patterns or my exercise habits, and I'm still really lethargic. I tend to look at what's happening in their spirit world. And what I found is that if you might not even know it, but if you are a people pleaser, right? So if you are chronically worrying about making other people happy, and I notice right now, I've been doing a little too much of that, and my energy's draining, right? And so I've been sleeping, and I'm okay with that because I'm always willing to do what's required. But I also know that if I'm just focusing on what I need to do in the physical world, it won't solve the problem. So I always look at where I need to work on things or be clear or open up the door to things in the spirit world. And people pleasing is one of those sneaky things that most of us do that we might not even know that we do it. So it might look like, oh, did I say the right thing to the right person? Or, oh, I hope I came across appropriately. Oh, did I upset them? Oh, did I disappoint them? Oh, I better say yes because I don't wanna disappoint them. Like, I was supposed to go to dinner with some really good friends and some clients, and I was on this text thread with these amazing beings, and I missed out on a fantastic night. But guess what? My body knew that going would drain me more. So I didn't. And I'm so glad that I listened to the call to, guess what? Stay at home, right? Not people please, not worry about if they would be disappointed. They're out of town clients. I don't know when I'm going to see them again. And I had to be okay with that because I've made a commitment to myself in this year to be in alignment with my head and my heart, to make sure that my mind and my body are doing their best to be on the same playing field, to collaborate together instead of sort of work against each other. And people pleasing is this sneaky thing because we don't even know. And if you're listening to this, you might not even know how much you are in a cycle where you are people pleasing. And so, what happens when we're people pleasing is our energy will get drained, is we're giving the best of us to others and not really taking the best of us for ourselves. It means that we may show up fantastic for someone else, but then in the comfort of our own home, we don't feel that same level and energetic sort of exchange of fantastic for ourselves or our bodies. And especially if you are a healer or a giver and you're much more comfortable, or a doctor, and you're much more comfortable in the giving role, you may be experiencing some physical symptoms in your body based on the fact that you don't even know it, you're people pleasing. And so this people pleasing can show up because you're afraid of being judged, because you don't want to disappoint. In my case, it's because I really want people to know that they're brilliant. I really want them to wake up. But what I have caught myself doing recently and in the past is that I'll kind of show up and over deliver, and I'm doing all the work and they're not doing really any of the work. I'm not saying people I'm working with aren't doing the work, but I'm doing more than is actually working. And I didn't realize it, what happens to our physical bodies, to the systems in our bodies when that's occurring. So I'm going to give you some examples. What happens is your parasympathetic nervous system, it's designed to stay in relaxation, right? Unless, of course, you're being chased by a bear, then it needs to move, right? But the parasympathetic nervous system is connected to your heart health. It's connected to your immune health. It's also connected to your digestion and your gut health. And when you are in a state of chronic people pleasing without knowing it, your parasympathetic nervous system might be in a heightened state. So, when it's in a heightened state and it's not relaxed, your cortisol levels will increase. And when your cortisol levels increase, it slows down your metabolism. When your cortisol levels increase, you're more likely to experience anxiety, stress, and panic attacks. When your cortisol levels increase, it's harder for your liver and your spleen to clear out and clean out toxins in the body, because the liver and spleen are its primary job is to clean out toxins, right? And so when that's all happening, what also could be happening is your thyroid could suffer. And I've worked with a lot of people, and so when they come to me with thyroid issues and they say, "Oh, my thyroid's off, I need to take medication." I always recommend, I'm not anti-medication, but here's what I believe is that medication alone is not going to resolve the thyroid issue, right? You also have to address what caused the thyroid issue in the first place. And from working with people for over 20 years in the spirit world and in things unseen, more often than not, when our physical body starts to sort of give way, starts to suffer or struggle, is because there's something in our spirit world that we're not addressing. You know, Louise Hay talks about this in her book, You Can Heal Your Life. It's a brilliant book. It's a great resource and great reference. And so, in the spirit world, when people are dealing with thyroid issues, I believe, and this is something that I've learned from working for the last 20 years with people, is it actually is connected to a self-esteem issue. And more often than not, I find that it's women who struggle with their body image and their body weight. They struggle with feeling like they're not enough. And when people feel like they're not enough, they will try to people please in order to fill the void of not feeling like enough. Because you figure if you can make somebody happy, then and they're happy with you, then you can decide you're enough. But what happens when that person goes away and the next person comes, and now you have to feed them that they're enough? And now you go, okay, I got my fix of dopamine of feeling like I'm enough. And then they go away and someone else. And so this can be a very taxing process, not just on our nervous system, not just on the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, but it can be taxing on our adrenals. It can be taxing on our lymph nodes, right? Lymph nodes help regulate the body, they help decrease inflammation. And so when you have a lot of inflammation going, instead of trying to directly address the inflammation, you may want to address where are you giving your energy away? Where are you stoking somebody else's fire? Where are you maybe angry or frustrated or depleted or pissed off, but you're not acknowledging that you're angry or depleted or frustrated or pissed off, and you keep showing up with a smile for others, but behind closed doors in the comfort of your own home, that smile disappears. And people pleasing literally can drain your spirit so that you no longer have energy to create the life of your dreams, which means you come home exhausted, which means you might be scrolling on social media when really you'd rather be reading a book, but you're too tired, or you'd like to call a friend and have an engaging conversation, or you'd like to connect with your spouse or your intimate other and just be present with them, but you are not present for yourself, so you have no energy to give. And I didn't realize how, um, how do I want to say it? How incessant this people pleasing route can go. And, if you're somebody who was raised in a home where you kind of felt like you were always walking on eggshells, maybe you had a parent who was emotionally unstable, maybe you had a parent who was an alcoholic, maybe you had a parent who was always working, and when they came home, they had no energy left for family or you. And what this does is then it sets up this sort of pattern in your world where you give yourself the job of trying to people please, right? Of looking at your external environment first and giving your energy to your external environment first, rather than giving your energy to you and your internal environment. And when you start to give your energy to you and your internal environment, you start to increase your energy. So, if this topic of conversation resonates with you, we're going to do a couple things to kind of help you. I tell all my friends who I poke every once in a while. I'm like, about people pleasing. I'm like, you want to know what your new favorite word is? And they just laugh at me. I'm like, it's no. Right? Like last night, I had to say no. I didn't want to, but I knew that it would benefit me, and I feel much more rested today. And and I'm also okay with not having my energy be like, "Whoa!" Like I've been given a lot. Yesterday, I was on a panel for the future of health. We're talking about the future of health going in a direction where we really need to learn how to know thyself. It's not so much if your energy levels are low, if your heart starts, acting up, or if your kidneys start feeling funky, or if you start feeling like you're having panic attacks. My first order of response, we've been trained to go to a doctor for the information, but all a doctor does is try to diagnose the problem. 80% of diagnoses are misdiagnosed, right? So all of a sudden you're taking medication for a problem that you might not have. And then guess what? You have to deal with the side effects of the medication and get another medication to deal with the side effects. It's kind of a crazy world. And so I'm not anti doctors. In fact, there are some really amazing doctors in the world. And I've been fortunate enough to to meet some of them, and they're incredible humans because they're doctors because they want to help people. And yet, I think the doctors that are the most successful at what they do diagnose what's going on in the person's life, in the patient's life. So, how are your stress levels? Are you going through any stressful events? Are you going through a divorce? Are you eating? How has your sleep habits been? Is there anything in your life that you haven't told anyone that has been keeping you up at night? These kinds of questions can be phenomenal. And what I think is even more phenomenal is when, whether it's a doctor, a massage therapist, or a healer, or some form of an energy worker or a teacher, they say, well, I wonder what your body knows, because the consciousness of the body does not speak in words, it speaks in energy, but that energy has information, and that information has a solution. And usually, once you open the door to the information, the solution appears almost instantaneously. And yet, we don't necessarily go down that side of the healing path because we want someone else to solve our problems for us. Right? We want someone else. And look, I just had a phone conversation with a very good friend of mine. We kind of do similar things in different ways. And, we get together and we contribute to each other. We open up the blind spots. We kind of help, all things life, whether it's body or business or relationships, or finances. We kind of hold that space for the other to have a healing experience. And I think it's so important for us to have people in our lives that help us navigate the blind spots that we can't see. I might be the most excellent, intuitive, right? Especially when it comes to bodies. I've been told by healers from around the world, famous people from around the world, that, wow, I've never experienced something like you. And I have this gift. And it took me a long time to realize it was a gift because for a long time in my life, it was seen as a problem. It was seen as something that needed medication, and that I needed medicating and I needed hospitalization and so many other things, but I'm still here. I survived. And, the truth is that I can't read myself in the same way that I can read someone else, in the same way that I can help someone else. But when I have a friend who holds space for me to look at it and pokes me on my blind spots, it's like an instantaneous door opens and I find relief. And I think we're all here not to live a mediocre life, not just to get through life, but to literally expand our life, to love the life we're living. And, next week's topic I'm really excited about. It's going to be a good one. And it's all about what if today could be the day that changes your life. I think we forget that every day is a possibility. And so most of us have been, without knowing it, in survival mode, in fight or flight. And when you're in those modes, you tend to focus on your external environment and making those around you in your environment happy. And then you go home and you realize how drained you are, how tired you are, how your nervous system maybe is taxed, maybe your hormones are imbalanced. And yeah, a medication may temporarily solve it, but it's not going to heal it. And if you want true, long lasting healing, you have to be willing to begin to focus on your internal world first. You have to be willing to be the expert. So that doesn't mean that you have the solution to everything you're trying to heal, but does mean you'll know who to go to. It does mean that you'll get, the insights and the awarenesses of what to do or where to go for the answers or for someone holding space for you to get the answers. And then that's a really amazing thing. And so I can't tell you how many people I work with. And one of the first things I do is I look at how much they are people pleasing in their life, afraid of being judged, afraid of being rejected, afraid of being dismissed, afraid of not being accepted. Right? How many people are running around doing everything for their family and their children and their spouse, and then feeling guilty when they want to take an hour to go self care for themselves? I forget the movie. There was a movie I saw recently within the last couple months that it showed this new mom, and she was married and in love with the father and love with her husband, right? And the husband, this was his second marriage and his second kid. And the new mom was like people pleasing and doing everything to make the husband happy. The husband was half checked out and she was ready, on the verge of a nervous breakdown. And nervous breakdowns, if you've ever had one, it's your body sending you information that something is off in your world. And if you go, something's off, I'm going to go to a doctor, and that doctor doesn't ask you what's stressed out in your life, and they go straight to the diagnosis, chances are they are going to misdiagnose the problem. There's been so many areas and so many times in my life where someone comes to me with a diagnosis and we heal it in one session or two or five or 10, however it is, because we recognize that that wasn't the proper diagnosis. Most information for where we can heal, where we can get our energy back, where we can start living an abundant, vibrant life. I believe, this is just my personal opinion, take it or leave it. You don't have to agree with me. I believe that the answers lie in our spirits and in the spirit world, because it's in giving up of ourselves that we really sort of diminish it. So I'm going to give you a story. You might have heard this story before, but I think it proves a point, and then we'll take a break. And when we come back, I'm going to give you some tools, some resources, and some ideas so that you can take what reads and resonates with you and integrate it into your daily habits and your daily life and stack up. So over time, you'll acquire and accrue compounding interest for both your spirit and your physical body and your financial world and your relationship world and everything in between. So years ago, I was quite successful making multiple six figures as a real estate agent. I was newly married. I got married really young, 25 years old. And at 27 years old, I was able to pay cash for a car. I was able to buy a home and an investment property. Actually, I had two investment properties. And, life was good. I was definitely the wealthiest of all my friends. I was the one, taking my friends on trips to tropical destinations and fun little like experiences. I was the one buying, the concert tickets and getting in the car and buying the dinners and taking people out. And, that was a people pleasing moment. And at one point in the course of that time in my life, I got really sick, like really, really sick. And to the point where there was a moment where I thought I was going to die. I remember being crunched up in fetal position on my bed, sweating and panting and having a panic attack and anxiety and like just like in so much physical pain, like a level 50 out of 10. And I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't move. I couldn't even drink water. It was like my throat was closing down. It was a moment where I was like, I think I have to go to the hospital. And no one could figure out what was wrong with me. 9 months of blood draws and tests and scans and, pricks and pokes and urine samples and a whole lot of walking out of the doctor's office with a new diagnosis and a new medication, only to have side effects and symptoms from the medication, and it never really getting better. And at this point, I was desperate. And I remember being in a class, it was like a dance class, and I dragged myself to the dance class. And then I got there and I laid on the floor for almost the whole dance class. And this woman came up to me. She goes, I'm a healer and I, talk to bodies and I don't know if this resonates with you, but she had known that I had been struggling. She goes, maybe you come in for a session. And at this point I was like, okay, I'm desperate. I'll try anything. And I went into that session and I was fully clothed. I was on a massage table and she was face up. She put one hand on my lower sacrum area and one hand on my belly. And she asked, like, w- like, what does your gut know? What does your belly know? What does your body know about what's going on with you? And I don't really remember anything else for the rest of the session. I think I remember crying. I think I remember sweating and at one point laughing. And just like I remember getting up off that table and walking out and going, oh my God, the pain's gone. Oh my God, the lethargy, like the symptoms, at least 50% of the symptoms that I was experiencing, and there were a lot of symptoms, it was gone. And the reason I think that healing was so profound is because she wasn't trying to diagnose me. She was trying to uncover what my spirit knew, what my body knew. And our bodies are these conscious entity beings. They have information, a lot of information from a lot of time periods in our life that our cognitive brain may not remember that information. And I believe it's our job not to talk to the information, but to find a way to let the energy of that information release out of our bodies. And I think it's why I love what I do, because I get to see miracles and magic all the time by talking to the energy of the spirit, by talking to the being, and by talking to the body and letting a healing happen. And so, my friends, what that healing session unveiled was a truth that I was not willing to admit to myself. And I was miserable in my marriage. I was overworking and I was paying for everyone in my life, but I had no energy left for me. So my body was breaking down, and no amount of an antibiotic or a prescription drug or a protocol from a doctor of, drink 8 glasses of water and take 30-minute walks. None of that was working because my spirit needed reviving. And so, for those of you out there that may be chronic people pleasers that are afraid of, choosing for you and listening to your heart's calling, you may be physically suffering from a lot of illnesses that no amount of physically solving it will actually solve it until you sort of solve it in the spirit world. So stay tuned. We're going to come back. I'm going to give you some other options, and thanks for listening.
Om Times TV.
Do you trust you? Do you trust your body? What if the key to unlocking the weight, pain, suffering, fear, anxiety, addictions, traumas, and sorrows was already inside of you? Learn to love the skin you are in so you can create the body, business, and life you love. Everyone always says you can't explain what Catherine does, you just have to experience it. From Hollywood actors to New York Times best-selling authors to some of the world's wealthiest and most successful, no two experiences are the same. for private sessions, online courses, live events, and the latest book Jack Canfield calls Game Changer and should be required reading for everyone, go to katherinemcintosh.com. KatherineMcintosh.com.
Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. Om Times Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, Om Times offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an Om Times magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on Om Times TV and broadcasting it across the extensive Om Times radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. Om Times. Open yourself to the possibilities.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
All right, so welcome back. We are talking about what to do when your energy is drained. And I think one of the root causes has to do with people pleasing, like with giving of your energy too much and not having an even exchange. And those of us or people that tend to sort of carry that burden, they usually had a really hard childhood. Maybe they had a parent who needed more from them than the parent was giving them. And so they learned that that was a way to live and survive in the world. And, I think just now we're so apt or afraid of being canceled, or we're afraid of hurting people's feelings, or we're afraid to like really take a stand because we might be seen as selfish. And so what I want to do is invite you to consider some things that you could do really easily to begin to sort of shift this in your world. And, I'm teaching a 12-week course on people pleasing, where we are going to change your health vibration. We are going to change your metabolism. We're going to change your nervous system. We're going to get you clear on what it is that you want to be doing, and then also build sort of I'm going to say the spiritual confidence, because it's not about just being confident. It's about changing an old pattern and an old habit of not standing up for yourself or not going after what you know is important to you. And as long as you are supporting everyone else in their life, you will, on some level, feel slightly drained. You might have some health challenges. I actually believe that autoimmune deficiency is one of the root causes of being a people pleaser. So like if you're a chronic people pleaser and you have not been able to solve your autoimmune deficiency, I believe that people pleasing is a huge reason. And so no amount of, doctors and all that stuff is solving the problem. There's so many things that I've discovered that if you kind of let go of this, but here's some things. So if you are interested and you want to check it out, you can go to katherinemcintosh.com, and on the home page, you just scroll down halfway, maybe 3/4 away, and there's a class called People Pleasing the Class, and you can join us on this adventure. What happened for me was astounding. started living my dream life, started attracting the clients and people. I started to just have everyday life feel like it was a miracle. And I stopped trying to impress and spending so much energy impressing people that, really could have cared less. And I was giving them all my energy, but I wasn't getting any energy back. So here's a few things that you can do to sort of one, recognize. You just want to ask yourself, how much of your energy are you focusing on your external environment, on your friends, on your family, on what people are or aren't doing? Maybe you're someone who reads the newspaper all the time and you have a comment for everything. Um, and if that's the case, what you want to start asking is, when did you let go of your dreams? Because chances are, if you're a people pleaser, you stopped paying attention to what's really important to you. And so we might all have dreams, but you want to ask yourself, are you in your daily life performing daily habits that energize those dreams, that get you closer to those dreams? So you might have a financial dream, right? You might have a relationship dream. You might have a family dream, like a dream for what you want for your family. You might have a business dream. And if you're spending a good majority of your time on everybody else's dreams, chances are you're not building yours. And that is exhausting. So the first thing you want to do is you want to look at, like, okay, what are you doing every day to build your dreams, right? Have you forgotten about them? Last week I was sort of in having a moment, and I recognized that I was focused on someone who had promised they would do something for me. They hadn't done it, and I was all up in a huff and pissy and spending a good 30 minutes draining my energy on the fact that this person hadn't done what they say they would do. And then I went, "Oh my God, I told them I would do something that I haven't yet done." And it was like this light bulb moment, right? So I know for me, when I'm focused on my outside world, I am not paying attention to me and I'm in people pleasing mode, right? Chronic people pleasing mode. And when I'm in chronic people pleasing mode, fight or flight gets activated, cortisol levels spike, metabolism slows down, thyroid might go a little haywire, my adrenals are a little bit taxed, my lymph nodes aren't processing properly, my liver and spleen might be storing onto energy. It definitely, like for me, where I notice it instantaneously, is it messes with my digestion. And so, for all of you out there struggling with physical things and you have not been able to solve the mystery of what you are experiencing, you first might want to undiagnose yourself. So, if you've been diagnosed with hypothyroid, or you've been diagnosed with a slow metabolism, or you've been diagnosed with Crohn's or Parkinson's, or you've been diagnosed with heart murmurs, my first invitation is, you want to look holistically at your whole life and look at, are you taking care of yourself, or is all of your energy going to other people? Years ago, when I first started one of my businesses, I was like so eager to please one of my business partners that I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have been just wanting to make sure that my business partner's happy. I didn't realize that I'm not happy," right? I was doing everything that my business partner wanted to do, but I wasn't doing anything that I wanted to do. Really big aha and awakening. And so it might be time for you, great time, any time's a great time, no matter what time of year it is, to reconnect you with your dreams. So you want to make a list of the dreams that you have. You want to make a list of the dreams that you have, and then you want to make a list of the thoughts and actions that will support getting you there. And then you want to look at your life and you want to look at, what are the things you're saying yes to that do not support the energy and life you want to be living. It can be really draining and really taxing, and we don't even know it. And then it keeps us in fight or flight, which keeps us from abandoning our intuition. And when we abandon our intuition, we end up focusing on our external environment. And when we focus on our external environment, we get caught up in an energy that we can't control. You cannot control your external environment, but you can control your internal environment and how you respond and react and engage with the world around you. So if you're dealing with anxiety, depression, panic attacks, if you're dealing with autoimmune deficiencies, if your eating habits have changed lately and there's no explanation for it, if you're feeling depleted and exhausted or drained, if you're sleeping more than normal and you're concerned about it, if you're noticing you're having skin issues or acne, or maybe you're dealing with metabolism or whatever it is, you may want to first look at, are you, without knowing it, have you been in chronic people pleasing mode? And if you have, you want to start to reconnect to you, to know thyself, to start to build on your dreams and see what's important. And then you may want to ask yourself, why is it so important that you make everyone else in your life happy, but you're not? What is it in you, in your spirit, in your childhood that feels like you need and it's your job to make others happy? And so, my friends, if you truly want to change the world, you have to change you. Change the energy you are, change how you see yourself, change how you show up for you. Because when you're fueled, then you have energy for what you came here to be and do in the world. Really, truly. And so you may want to adopt saying no more, right? Like I did last night. And yeah, I missed out on a fun time, but guess what? I got more of me today. I feel more connected to me than I have in the last few days, and I needed that. And so when you make you the priority, right? I know when I don't take care of myself, I am not a good parent to my son. I'm more short fused. I get a little temperamental with him. I'm not present. Maybe I'm on my phone when he's in the room. When I'm taking care of myself, he and I do a much better job at life together. But when I'm not taking care of myself, guess what? I'm also teaching him that it's more important to take care of everyone else around him and not him. So, for all of you out there listening, you're not wrong. And it's not selfish to first care for you. It is not selfish to first care for you. In fact, it's a priority because guess what? If you don't start caring for you first, your health is going to suffer. Your financial world might suffer. Your temperament and your mental health might also suffer. And when those things suffer, it's harder to bounce back to it, especially if you're used to going to an expert for a solution like a doctor instead of looking inside to see what in your spirit you can begin to change. And so the first thing is start saying yes to you, no to others. Start saying yes to the things that build the energy of your dreams. Start saying no to the things that take you away from your dreams or your energy. And look, your dream might be, hey, I want to spend the next year of my life waking up happy. I want to spend the next year of my life at peace with my choices for myself. I want to spend the next year of my life being truthful to myself. Most people do not realize that they are always telling a lie, and most people are lying to themselves. So if you're somebody who says, "Oh, I want to lose weight," but you're not doing anything to change your thoughts about yourself, and you're not doing anything to change your habits about yourself, guess what? You may be stuck in people pleasing, right? That you might be lying to yourself if you say, "Oh, I want to save up for a house," or, "Oh, I really want a relationship," and yet you're not doing anything to change you getting clear on that. Chances are you might not be doing as much self-care as you think you are. You might be stuck in people pleasing, and you might be draining your energy. So maybe now's the time that you take a moment, get your pen and paper out, start writing down what are the dreams you have, and then what are the thoughts, like the emotions and the feelings that you can have to support those dreams coming true. What are the actions you can have that support those dreams coming true? And you might want to ask yourself, when did you give yourself the job to not be selfish, right? Take it from a 2-year-old. 2-year-olds, I mean, they're selfish, but they also have so much love to give, right? And so, my friends, now might be your time to recognize that you were born to thrive. You're born to have the energy for you, for your life, for your dreams, for those you love, and you were born to live a fantastic life. Yeah. So that's all I got for you today. If you would like to check out the upcoming people pleasing class where we're going to change the game on your nervous system, parasympathetic and sympathetic. We're going to change the game on your health, but we're going to change the game on your life. You're welcome to check out the people pleasing class and any other classes coming up. You can just go to my website, katherinemcintosh.com, check it out. And I just want to thank you for being here. If this show inspired you today, please feel free to share it with someone else. Please feel free to let them know. Go ahead and subscribe, and we can't wait to see you next time. And next week, we're talking about, treating every day as if every day could be the day that changes your life. So thanks for listening. And until next time, be well.
Catherine is not a medical practitioner nor a licensed therapist. She has strong opinions and will express them, and truly believes that you are your best advocate for any and every area of your life. If you need medical advice, please consult your physician.